there can be really severe consequences if that is not correct. And it can really cripple an organization if you have, let's say you have a rollout and you're building a new pipeline or you're expanding some of your operations. If you don't have the correct information there, I think it's far more critical than, and I'm not playing down on invoice management, but an invoice being paid 30 days late or 60 days late, yes, you will have a unhappy customer, but the company or the business will not grind to a halt if that happens.
So let's go into that a bit further. Do you think that right now that is a fundamental problem that people are having? Because I mean, they must be successful somewhere for these projects to be already running. So is that a problem that we're seeing with clients and the ones who are coming to us and saying that's what they're looking for from us? Or is there a bigger picture that they're coming to talk to us about and then all of a sudden realizing, oh, and we can do this as well?
I think you get both. We have seen both customers that have started their ECM journey with managing just or using content server, just managing more general type of content, whether it is totally in isolation or whether it's integrated into SAP. That we also find a lot that we have SAP customers that are using content server that's using extended ECM for SAP, and then say, okay, but yes, we also have this need to manage engineering content. We have had quite a few instances of companies changing technology where they've been using one type of product managing engineering content, but sometimes those products are really just working in isolation and do not offer the capability of integrating further than just engineering content or integrating into backend systems like SAP or SuccessFactors or Salesforce. And I think that is where the shift sometimes comes for companies saying, okay, and let's move from the way we have managed our engineering content and bring it into our wider ECM portfolio.
Yeah.
And we've done migrations from some of these other engineering products. The reverse side is also true where that is the burning need. And they say that we don't really have an ECM, we just use SharePoint or we just use file systems. But that is not sufficient for managing engineering content.
Yeah.
Because as great as SharePoint is as a collaboration tool, it doesn't offer the capability of concurrent engineering, of revision control, of redlining, of transmittals, of all those things that are key to managing engineering content and the engineering process. And then that becomes the driving force of investing in the OpenText solutions. And sometimes customers will stay with that. We always try to say to customers that, okay, you've done this investment, you've done a big capital layout to get to supply the solution for your specific need. And I'm a very, very strong believer in really maximizing your investment to get as much of a return on investment as possible.
Yeah.
And you get that by maximizing the use of the tool set and maximizing the use of the software that you have and that you've already invested in. And that can lead then to different types of integrations. It can lead to different types of migrations, decommissioning of old legacy systems, and to bring this together, the whole principle of not having these different silos of information and having replication, the buzzwords we use of single source of truth, which buzzword as it may be, is really, really critical.
Yeah.
That you know that you are working with one set of truth.
And do you feel like there's times when clients are sort of a bit of a loss as to where to start? Or is it usually they know exactly what they need to do and they just need some expertise from a technical side to help them get through that?
My experience with customers that are managing engineering documents is that they are generally extremely knowledgeable.
Yeah.
We've started, for instance, in a project where the customer already had all their state flows mapped out. They know exactly what they need to do. So it's just translating that into the product capabilities and into the product specific configurations. So I've found more than with any other of the content management areas, the level of knowledge and experience of the document controllers, who are normally the driving force behind these implementation projects and also managing it operationally. The knowledge and the experience of these people are phenomenal. They really know what they're doing. They are very good at it, and they are extremely quick to learn and adopt the technology. Other departments, I have found there's more resistance to the change. The change management is much harder and it takes longer for change management. Where within engineering, it's a very quick take on. They know what they're doing, they know what they want, and it's very challenging projects to work on, but it's also very fulfilling projects to work on.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point, and what it points to for me is that areas where document control is business critical and really affects. I mean, there's a lot of money riding on it, right? These are high risk operations, so where there's higher risk, those people tend to really really focus on the solutions they're coming in with. So I think it's really interesting that we see that. Um, I also think it's translating slightly more in terms of other clients that we hear from at the moment, or even potential clients we hear from who are coming to us sort of discovery phases, who are more knowledgeable about connected applications and the idea of we've again. There's another phrase there, data silos, which again, 20 years ago we were still talking about it, and it hasn't gone away, and it won't go
No.
away because it's a hard thing to do. It's really annoying. Like it's not complex, but it's a big lift to fix it, and the perceived value is actually pretty low. I
Yeah.
don't think people believe there's huge value in doing that, and we talk about efficiency and things like that. If a company's still making money, people hold these things together with their processes, and they have their Excel spreadsheet that does this here, and oh no, I made a quick macro that does this there, and then you've got 4,000 of those all across the company, and you don't know where anything's going. That's how you get into trouble, and I think we're seeing more experience coming through from clients outside the energy sector as well. But I think you're right. There is a much deeper knowledge of the tools they need
Yeah.
um, in what they do.
I think in my view, one of the biggest challenges in large enterprise environments is departmental autonomy. And you find it that so many times the different areas, functions, or departments within an organization generally do their own thing, which is necessary and is in itself not a bad thing. But what that sometimes lead to is that you always have somebody within that department that knows a product or knows a solution or are happy with it, or are influenced very well by a very good salesman, and then they go in a direction. And that's where you really get these content silos, where you really get these documents and content being managed and stored in all these different systems. I think that that is one of the biggest types of projects that put the light on this is if a customer really adopts SAP as an overall strategy. Then you get all these skeletons that come out of the closet, and you
Yeah,
see all these different areas where they've just managed both data and content so differently. And SAP is a brilliant system, but it's very unforgiving in the way that it's structured. There's not a lot of leeway, and I think that's one of its big strengths. But then you have to align your business processes, and you have to address these things of departmental autonomy, where they just each one went their own way in where they store documents, how they store content, how they interact with external systems. And that is, I think that is where OpenText have an advantage with its connectivity to different other ecosystems, that you don't have to get users to change the platform they're working on, just the way they interact with content. If
yeah,
they're a SharePoint user, they continue with SharePoint or Teams. If they're SAP users, they continue with that. But with the whole extended ECM value add, you can bring in the compliance and the control and the management without really impacting or taking away that freedom that these companies have. But it is a problem. It is we sometimes discover companies having multiple ECM systems, and sometimes there's even duplication within these systems where you have things like contracts or vendor specific information or customer specific information that is utilized by different departments, and
Yeah.
they normally just duplicate it.
It's a gold mine when you get it right, because if you find that and you start retiring systems, it really can be it can very quickly show where you've been going wrong and how much money you can save with upfront investment. That story's happened in front of me many times. So I'm really interested in how, particularly OpenText and ECM, when you're connected, like you say, most people are familiar with a SharePoint or Salesforce. So most people are familiar with those. Obviously, then you've got, as you say, SAP or any other sort of ERP systems, but then connecting to proprietary APIs. I can guarantee you most of the enterprises we talk to have got one system that someone built 10 years ago that is business critical and can't go away.
Yeah,
Just open that up and get people the data from it in an easier manner. It's hard to, when software as a service has become such a big deal and you're getting updates on everything else, it's very hard to keep that up to date, and
yeah,
still they become clunky and difficult. So I think it's a really interesting conversation. What I like about it, from a conversational point of view, is that there are nuances, like we say in Canada, and that's why we're talking engineering. Um, but the same ethos is exactly the same in Europe, exactly the same in Asia. It doesn't really change too much. I'm never really sure if I'm supposed to say UK at that point as well. Um, I'm still struggling to get my head around whether I'm allowed to say that or not. But it's a difficult scenario when you know that the problem's the same, but there are just intricate little details that you have to understand to make sure it works for the clients you're dealing with.
yeah,
And Canada, we will talk more engineering, but at the same time, you have healthcare providers, you have financial services, you have insurance, all of the have legal firms, some of the largest consumers of documents in the world being legal firms. So we've got those exact same sort of profiles of people that we talk to, but the engineering stuff is so interesting because it genuinely affects us all, right?
yeah.
If a lot of that's not right, then a lot of oil prices go up.
That that is true. And what I've found is the larger the organization and the more dispersed or the more critical the content that you need to manage and to bring into under one umbrella, if I can call it like that, the success to projects like that always come down to management, upper management buy-in.
Yeah,
If it's driven by a department, you will have limited success. If it comes top down, that is where a large organization can really have the value of their investment. Because some things come down to hard decisions is that no, you may like doing it this way, but this is our company standard. This is the way we're going to do it. We are going to manage our records because it's scary how few companies effectively are doing records management, and records management around for ages.
yeah,
Almost all the ECM systems can do records management. It's not something new. It's not a revolutionary. It's not AI or anything like. It's nothing flashy. And I think that's maybe where the problem is. Is if you're a mining company or if you're an oil exploring or a pipeline company, it's sometimes difficult to justify the cost in doing something as mundane as records management. It's not going to increase their bottom line or their revenue, or it's not going to make them more operationally efficient. XESM engineering does that, but something as basic as records management doesn't. And you almost have to get burned before they see the importance of that. Of yes, we can maybe focus on engineering, we can maybe focus on contracting or retail, but if the foundation is not right, it will burn you at a point in time. And it almost comes full circle to where we started this conversation with the whole buzz about AI in the market today. And if your foundation is not correct, you will never have the true benefit or the value of all these nice things, or all the value that something like AI can bring, if the content and the data is not correct.
Yeah, that's the conversation that we're having with every client across every sector. It's that is the interesting part, and I think that's probably what I'd like to discuss with you. Um, Certainly from an energy point of view, but we might have to save that for another video. But thank you so much, Werner. I've really enjoyed having a conversation about this, and it's made me think quite a lot about particularly how we service individual sectors that need really specific information and support. Um, and I hope other people sort of can join in that conversation as well. But thanks so much for your time.
Yeah. Thank
Really
you. It
appreciate it,
was a
and
nice.
we'll catch up with you very soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks very much for watching. If you'd like to see more from us, check out other content on our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on social media, or you can visit us at www.turnpikes.pro. Feel free to subscribe to get upcoming notifications of our new content, and we look forward to seeing you very soon.